Let me just pose this question. This circus that Jim Jordan's holding to try and get votes for President Biden.
Mr. Bobulinski, in your interactions with the Biden family, which you've told us all about throughout the day, did you ever observe the Chinese government grant 22 patents to any of Joe Biden's children while Joe Biden was in office?
I did not.
Did you ever observe the Chinese government, did you ever observe Joe Biden ever own or operate any hotels while he was in public office and take millions of dollars from foreign governments?
I did not.
Did you ever observe Joe Biden employ any of his children or their spouses in the White House as vice president or president?
I did not. I can't speak to that.
Did you ever observe, while observing the Bidens install a family member to be the co-chair of the DNC?
I'm sorry, ask the question again?
Did you ever observe the Bidens install a family member to be the co-chair of the Democratic National Committee?
I did not.
Did President Biden or anyone in his family take $2 billion from the Saudi government?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did President Biden or anyone in his family get fined $355 million for tax fraud?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Parnell, I dare you to impeach, but you won't because you don't have the evidence. And because you don't have the evidence, you don't have the votes. Guys, it's dead. And so I'm here to pronounce the time of death. $5:16.
Say it in Chinese.
Impeachment is dead. 5:16. Biden impeachment's dead. Joe Biden has been acquitted.
What was the role that Jared Kushner played in covering up the assassination and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi ordered by the Royal Conference?
Ranking member. And so I want to know, if Hunter Biden had accepted $2 billion from the Saudi government, I'm sure we'd be looking into that today. And, Mr. Chairman, I believe we can agree that there should not be undue influence in the White House, and I believe we should be able to agree that we should look into these questions about Mr. Kushner. And in fact, Mr. Chairman, you were on CNN and said, quote, I've been very vocal that I think what Kushner did crossed the line of ethics. And then in our deposition of Hunter Biden the other day, when we were discussing Mr. Kushner, you said, Mr. Chairman, and I quote from the deposition, when we deal with influence peddling, we'll ask about Jared Kushner. Well, today's hearing is titled Influence Peddling. So we are here. So, Mr. Comer, I would love to hear from you. Can we fulfill our responsibility as an oversight committee and determine if Saudi Arabia bribed or unduly influenced Jared Kushner or other White House officials? Is that something we'd be willing to look into?
We've already had a conversation with Ms. Porter. I'm going to answer one time. Ms. Porter and I have pledged to work on influence peddling legislation. We'll take up all the people who have been accused of influence peddling. We'll try to determine whether Jared Kushner has a real business. We haven't been able to find a real business that the Bidens have had yet. Now, just still your time, Mr.
So could we expect to subpoena Mr. Kushner's correspondence with the Saudi government or his firm's financial records or financial transactions between Mr. Kushner and his father-in-law? Is that something that we would consider doing as part of that hearing you just discussed?
What was the question?
If we are serious about looking into foreign money, I saw recently a poster board here about $100,000 to a car dealership. Are we going to be serious about the $2 billion from the Saudi government to Mr. Kushner? My question is, would we be at least subpoenaing Jared's correspondence with the Saudi government and his firm's financial records? Can we commit to doing that?
I think it's important to see if there were real legitimate businesses.
Of the transcript, and you said it's not an accurate statement. It's a lie related to an FBI report.
I didn't call them liars.
Sorry, I don't have time. Be quiet. Now, this is a photo that was provided by Cassidy Hutchinson after you called her a liar when she said that you met with Mark Meadows and received an envelope. Do you see this photo? Do you acknowledge that is Mark Meadows in the red hat?
Didn't you tell me to be quiet? I don't.
I asked the question. Do you acknowledge that that's Mark Meadows?
I don't. Maybe your person can walk it closer so I can see it.
Mr. Chairman, would you indulge, just since he's not answering the question?
You're 15 seconds over, but
well, let me just ask it very briefly. Is that you and Mr. Meadows by Secret Service cars with you in a mask?
Are you kidding, Mr. Goldman? I'm sitting 20 feet away from it.
Go up to him, please. Go right up to him.
And your time's expired. Okay. Maybe Mr. Swalwell will give you some time.
Could he just answer the question?
He can answer the question. Right?
So what I see in this picture is a Secret Service agent 5 feet from me with a full mask on, and a Secret Service agent sitting in a Cadillac Escalade with all the windows up with a full mask on.
Is that so you're making it a big deal? The person in the red hat?
It's the back of his head. I don't.
Is that you talking to the person in the red hat?
Why don't you ask me this, Mr. Goldman? Did I meet Mr. Meadows at a Trump rally in Rome, Georgia? I did. I acknowledge that.
Is it you?
Mr. Goldman.
I did.
Mr. Goldman.
But Cassidy Hutchinson is a liar.
Cassidy Hutchinson's a liar because she said that he handed me an envelope. Mr. Meadows didn't give me a single thing.
Sounds like everyone here today, the only one working for a Russian oligarch was you. Right? I mean,
yeah, it was.
I just heard you.
It's public information.
Yeah, no, I just heard you wax poetic.
I got paid $200,000. You know how much I got paid.
You were really worried about our democracy, and you were here to warn us. But you were working for a Russian oligarch, wanting to get marijuana licenses. But then you didn't even do it. The fraud you committed against the Russian oligarch was that instead you spent the money on yourself. So, like, was that what you were doing to fight against Russia's aggression?
That's a lie.
Just taking their money? Well, that's what you were convicted of.
No,
but instead of spending 50 years in prison, you got 4 months. As this hearing continues, I look forward to hearing what Mr. Galanis thinks about how he was treated by the DOJ for telling the truth, as opposed to how you're treated for lying.
The DOJ didn't listen to the truth, because if they would listen to the truth,
the question Mr. Gates had is for Mr.
Hear the truth. You can't handle the truth, Matt Gates.
Authors of the Republican Burisma report would be your, quote, guy in the Senate to push all the information, end quote. What did you mean by that?
Senator Ron Johnson was our guy in the Senate. He was told to me that when we push the information, he's going to push it in the halls of Congress.
So when the media was getting skeptical about pushing disinformation after they've proven it wrong time and time again, the plan was to have a U.S. Senator, Ron Johnson, to push that disinformation even further.
Correct, because we had Congressman Nunes already doing it, so Senator Ron Johnson jumped on board.
This Congress, both Chairman Comer and Chairman Jordan, have centered this entire sham impeachment hearing on an FBI tip sheet. This tip sheet made wild claims about bribery that didn't even come close to being backed up. And in fact, it's all being proved to be one big lie. Mr. Parnas, is the allegation in the FBI tip sheet based on the same fabricated claims that Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani flew you to Ukraine to dig up?
Yes.
I also want to make it clear that the informant allegedly behind this tip sheet is facing criminal charges for lying about the Biden family and was a known fraud for years before that. The same fabricated claim kept popping up and getting smacked down over and over again. In fact, our colleagues at the Foreign Affairs Committee did some amazing work on this investigation and found that this lie dates back to December 2015, almost 10 years ago. Do you happen to know the article that I'm referring to?
I don't know the exact article, but I do know that the slide has started way back in 2015.
Started about 10 years ago. It was an article entitled, quote, "The Ukrainian Scam of the Biden Family," end quote. And it was posted to a Russian language media website registered in a city in Russian-occupied Crimea. Mr. Parnas, do you have any doubt that this fabrication claim, the claim that Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani sent you to Ukraine to try to dig up more information on, is part of Russian propaganda and an effort to destabilize Ukraine and undermine our democracy?
As I sit here today, I have zero doubt that Russia's involved. This is a Russian campaign to interfere in our elections.
Thank you.
The chairman has not yet moved for that. And so, look, Chairman, we got like 3.5 minutes here. I mean, let's just do the impeachment. I mean, why continue to waste millions of dollars of the taxpayers' money if we're going to impeach because you believe you've shown he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor, what are you waiting on? Let's just do it. I mean, by the way, we got Chairman Jordan here also, the double chairman. Why aren't you guys calling for the vote in your committee? When is it going to happen? When can we tell the American people you're going to stop wasting their money and just call for the vote on impeachment?
Gentlemen, yield?
Sure.
We don't do snap impeachments like you guys. We actually do the facts. We do oversight according to the Constitution.
You're never going to call for it. You're never going to call for it. I mean,
now you can predict. You can predict the future. How do you know?
You guys only have 6 more months probably in power, right, until the election. So are you going to do it in 2 months? Are you going to do it in 3 months? Like, tell the American people.
Does the Constitution put a time limit on oversight? I don't think I didn't read that in the Constitution.
If you believe you can't call for the impeachment now, then what you're admitting is you haven't yet proven that he's committed a high crime and misdemeanor. You haven't proven it yet. Otherwise, you would call for it, I assume.
We're doing our work.
Okay, so they haven't proven it, right? They haven't proven he committed a high crime and misdemeanor. Otherwise, we would call for impeachment. So look, the chairman knows me well. I mean, I'm just here to help him, right? And so I just think we should do it today. Let's just call for it. I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. I want to help you out. You can second it, right? Like, make the motion to impeach President Biden. Go ahead. It's your turn. You second it. No, nothing. Okay, we got nothing. So I want to, with my last couple minutes, show the American people that they're never going to impeach Joe Biden. It's never going to happen because they don't have the evidence. Okay, this is a show. It's all they just want to do it serious. It's not leading to impeachment. They're lying to their base on Newsmax and Fox, leading these people to believe that they're going to eventually impeach the president. It's not going to happen at all, ever. Period. They don't even have the votes, even if they had it in committee. They don't have the votes on the floor. They know that.
I dare you to impeach, but you won't because you don't have the evidence. And because you don't have the evidence, you don't have the votes. Guys, it's dead. And so I'm here to pronounce the time of death. .516.
Say it in Chinese.
Impeachment is dead. 516. Biden impeachment's dead. Joe Biden has been acquitted.
Plus, we like a laugh. And while Trump may be laughable, he has never once said anything wry, witty or even faintly amusing, not once, ever. I don't say that rhetorically, I mean it quite literally. Not once, not ever. And that fact is particularly disturbing to the British sensibility. For us, to lack humor is almost inhuman. But with Trump, it's a fact. He doesn't even seem to understand what a joke is. His idea of a joke is a crass comment, an illiterate insult, a casual act of cruelty. Trump is a troll. And like all trolls, he is never funny and he never laughs. He only crows or jeers. And scarily, he doesn't just talk in crude, witless insults, he actually thinks in them. His mind is a simple bot-like algorithm of petty prejudices and knee-jerk nastiness.